Good morning, everyone. Today I want to show you what I mean when I say that I am going to Chelsea chop a plant. I have Chelsea chopped a plant, or I wouldn't Chelsea chop a certain plant. The Chelsea chop refers to cutting back perennial plants around the time of the Chelsea flower show in England. And there's a couple of reasons they do it. Some say that they chop those plants because they didn't make the cut for the show, because everything in the Chelsea flower show has to be absolutely perfect. So they just chop them back and let them reflush. Some say that they do it because the flower has already bloomed and they're cutting it back so that they can sell it. I don't know, whatever it is basically just cutting back your perennials by a half or a third around the middle to end of May. The end of May in England. I usually start doing it here in Northern Virginia in zone 7A at about May the 5th, but I'm still doing a few. So I actually tried to do this video a couple times and I was holding the camera with one hand and things weren't working out. So here I am with a tripod, and I have in my flower bed here, this is my one of my cutting garden beds, and it is the purple and blue bed, I believe. And I actually have a common bone set right here, which is actually a native plant, not a cutting plant particularly, from a year or so ago when I was testing out different Chelsea chop timing and cutbacks and things like that. So anyway, this guy is ready for a Chelsea chop, so I am going to just simply show you what I do. So here is the stem of the common bone set, and they say to do a third or a half. What I'm gonna do now, if you do this, just a warning, if you do this too late, then you will not get blooms. I did that on New England asters once. New England asters are a perfect candidate for the Chelsea chop, but I think I did it either too late or I tried to do it twice, because you can do that as well for the really late blooming plants. So just, try it out, go, easy at first on your plants and see what works for you. So anyway, here's the plant. I'm going to cut down by a half to right here. So I'm going to take this right here and I'm going to compost it, or what I'm going to do with these today, I am going to try and make new plants out of these cuttings. So now I'm just going to go through and do the rest. This is a really good tool to use, especially on these native plants, because a lot of native plants can get very tall and flop. That's what they do. So when you do the Chelsea chop on these native plants, you're going to get a little bit shorter plants, sturdier plants that don't flop over, and you're likely going to get more blooms. They may be a little bit smaller blooms, but you will get more blooms. And you can try to make cuttings out of all sorts of these. And then these ones down here, I'm just going to cut these off because that's just a mess. And I didn't get them staked in time. Okay, so there you go. We have the plant. Actually, it might go a little further down. Okay, so here you go. Here's the bone set, and hopefully off to the side, on the side of these leaves, we'll get 2 new shoots. And then here, let me show you up close. So say this is the plant right here, and we want to cut it by half. So we're going to cut it down to here. And then on either side of the stem, I'm wanting 2 new shoots to come up. So then what that's doing is you're getting a sturdier plant, a plant that's less likely to flop over, a plant that's going to have more blooms, could be smaller, but there will be more. And you can also use this method to delay blooming. Some people will delay blooming using the Chelsea chop method so that they can force bloom times of different plants. So if you want something to bloom at the same time or at different times, you can kind of tweak that a little bit. So anyway, just something to play with. Again, that is the Chelsea chop. And then I am going to take these cuttings here, as I am going to cut beneath a leaf node. So right under here, I'm going to cut beneath the leaf node, because this is where there are a lot of hormones for roots to take. And then we have this left. So I'm going to pull off the leaves. And then what I'll do is I'm going to reduce this plant to maybe about this size. I'm going to stick that, actually I'm going to take these leaves off too. I'm going to stick this in the soil and hope for roots. Now I try this on a lot of plants. A lot of times I'm unsuccessful, a lot of times I'm successful, and I don't keep track. So we'll do this, and I'll try and keep track this time and then keep you updated. Sorry about my gardener's manicure. So there you go. So the Chelsea chop into new cuttings and new plants. Okay guys, so we are back at my workstation in my garage, and now I'm going to take these cuttings that we just got from the common bond set in my cutting garden, and we're going to attempt to turn them into new plants. This is the little guy that I showed you how I take off the leaves, but we'll do it a couple more times here. So what I'm going to do is just get a little 3-inch pot. I've had these for years. I bought them once and I've been reusing them, and every time I give plants away I tell people to bring them back because I just have a hard time with single-use plastic. But anyway, okay, so I get my pre-moistened potting mix here, and then I'm going to go ahead and make 3 holes here with this. Here, let me just, I'm left-handed, so this is a little difficult. So I'm going to make 3 holes here with this dibber or dibbler, whatever you call it. And then I will take the first cutting that we did outside, and then I'm just going to push it in there and try and keep the leaves above the soil. Okay, so here's our cutting. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut beneath this leaf node right here. So cut, and then I'm going to kind of rip those leaves off right there. I'm going to put this all together. You don't want the plant to have to water all these leaves here, so that's why you cut some of the leaves off. It gives the plant a better chance at surviving, or the cutting a better chance at surviving and rooting, if it doesn't have to worry about watering so many leaves. Okay, so I'm going to put that cutting in there. Actually, I think I'm going to take this off. I'm going to take these bottom leaves off here because it was kind of getting in the soil, and I don't want that. So here we go again. I'm just going to use this top portion here, so I'm going to go ahead and cut below this leaf node. Okay, then I'm going to tear these leaves off, and this one, this one. There we go. I think that's probably going to look better. So I did a couple different methods here as far as how much to cut off and stuff, but as you can see, I have the possibility of 3 new common bond sets. And the deer eat these, so I'll probably put them in the native plant hedgerow. So I'm gonna do 1 more grouping of 3, and then I am going to place them over to the right of my my little box here of potting soil, because this area gets like a little teeny bit of sun in the morning, and then it's just like diffused light. So I'm just going to do that for a couple days while they recover. I'm pretty sure that you can use more of this plant material to make cuttings. I'm just choosing not to. It's going in the compost. Okay, and there you have it. This is the second batch of 3 that I did. This is common bone set. This is early morning on May 31st. And I'll keep you updated on how these guys are doing. Here's an update you might be interested in. These are the plants. These ones were unknown, but I think we figured out that they were either wild blue indigo or wild yellow indigo, and so they were the ones that I potted up or sowed in a 5x5 bootstrap farmer pot with the holes in it. And so those germinated like crazy, and so here I potted them up this weekend into deep cell flats, a deep cell flat. Same thing here. This is white snake root, and then these were all in a 5x5 bootstrap farmer container, all mixed in together, and I separated them. And then finally the last one that I did right here, this one was also unknown seeds. I think it looks to me like it's coreopsis, but I'm hoping it's fire pink. Anyway, so that's an update from a previous video. So in case you were wondering what these plants are back here while I was doing the bone set propagation, these are Penstemon digitalis. So this is the native foxglove. And these were also in a container where I mass planted them and left them over the winter. Excuse me. And I just potted them up yesterday based on their size. Yeah. Okay guys, well, I want to say thank you for joining me today on my YouTube channel, 90% Native. We talked a little bit about the Chelsea chop and then propagating from that Chelsea chop. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if so, please consider subscribing, liking, clicking on that bell to know when I do new videos. Thank you, and I will see you again next time.